used to be a very high goal of professional musicians to record a CD, and to produce a CD and to sell the CD. And nowadays, CDs have a different meaning that they used to have 15 years ago.
Right. It's not a commercial object anymore. It's basically, instead of a business card, you have a CD. But if you're trying to give a CD to someone under 30 years old, they don't even have a CD player anymore, right? So now it's more about websites and having social media presence and being on YouTube and, having good recordings but available for streaming. Whenever we have had a project that we wanted to record, it's an important thing to do for us because it kind of brings us to a different level. You have to make decisions about your interpretation and about the program, the repertoire that you're doing and everything in kind of in a different way than just programming a concert.
You've had better luck in Germany than in the U.S. with CDs?
Oh, yes.
I mean, do you think it's because of they're more open to new music than in the U.S.?
That and funding. Much more possibility for funding it has changed over the years with, 6 CDs on Vergo, and it's, it started as sort of fully funded and being paid and being, right, and with a staff of 10 people, 12 people, and now it's sort of 1 or 2, and, everything is tightened up a lot. So even here it's tightened up, but there still is more, I think, support and creative programming
and
for recordings.
And the infrastructure is still there in the radios, the instruments, the halls, the machines, the piano tuner on call. This is something that is a bit from another time.
Yeah. It used to be quite narrow in terms of if you are getting a degree in music and you are expected to do this with that degree. Either go into academia or in a conservatory go into an orchestra or something like that. And I feel like especially in the last 10 years, the options have broadened. And it's even the way we talk about it in our in my department meetings. We talk about success upon graduation, right? What happens to these students? Where do they go? Are they working in the field? And the definition of in the field has broadened significantly in the last 10 years. In the field does not just mean having a tenure track position in a music department. It means working as a full-time church musician, or working as a full-time recording engineer, or working as a festival director, or working as a high school music teacher. It's all considered part of the field because the academic track had to broaden. I mean, there are just only so many jobs. And so, and a student who is a very successful festival director, that should count. We have trained that person to be successful in that field.
I think freelancing has many phases, like academic life with great support or great teaching load on both extremes. A freelancer can range from a player who runs from engagement to engagement and doesn't have much to say about what is played and what are the programs, that is on the music stand that day, and is struggling to make a living with that. And on the other side is or permanently traveling, for example. On the other side is the musician who takes all the decisions, does all the programming, runs the whole band. And both extremes are far from reality usually. There is always something in between.
But I think there are certain things that are necessary. One is that you have to advocate for yourself. You have to, no one is going to do it for you. And so I think it's very important that whether you're a performer or a composer or you play classical music, whatever it is, if you are sitting alone in your room and not reaching out and advocating, actively, things aren't going to happen. And so, so there's definitely this, you have to, even if it's very unnatural for some people, you have to put yourself out there. You have to put yourself, because people just don't come find you, right? So that's important. I think you have to be willing to say no to things. And that's something that's really hard for the freelance mentality, is that you have to, a gig's a gig, you have to say yes to everything. And I think that there are times when you have to learn what your limits are and what you can do well and what will make you miserable. And, and in the end, usually when we've said no to certain things, better things come along. And so, there has to be, that's a way of finding that balance a little bit, is to be willing to say no sometimes. And the other thing is, I think, young people, especially starting out in a career, really need to think big, think of crazy projects. And, if you just keep doing your little thing, that's fine. And, someone might find out about it, but you need to somehow think of these big, for us, it was this Nancarrow project that we were, in our 20s, and we had this crazy idea that we would arrange all these pieces for piano and learn them, and we did it, and we got made a lot of connections, and a lot of things happened, and it really jump-started our career as a duo. And so, and I know a lot of groups who, Jack Quartet learned all the Zanagas, and Ace Blackbird played for memory, and it was these kinds of things that were, or composers who, just have this crazy idea for a big opera, and they do it. That will serve you well, especially when you're starting a career.